Hello, everybody, and welcome to BNB Game Jam workshop. We're pleased today to have Vito here, who is the co-founder of Carv. Today, Vito is going to be hosting a workshop showing how gaming credentials are going to help gaming developers. And as we mentioned, this is part of our BNB Game Jam, so we're pleased to have Carv here. And I'm going to pass it over to Vito now. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. It's a pleasure to be here. We'd love to use today's time to share more about what Carv is building, and very excited to see there's a lot more excitement within the gaming ecosystem and that a lot more developers are building in the space. And we would love to share more about the services and products that Carv is building that can potentially be helpful for folks who are building in the space. So without further ado, in today's discussion, we'd love to break it down into three parts. One is just going over the three pillars of what Carv is building, namely Credential as a service, our social gaming hub, as well as the different portal and management tools that we're building. And then we'd love to share some of the use cases that we have. And if there are any live questions along the way, feel free to just type them in the private chat, in the chat, and I'll address them at the very end. And so what Carv is building is a gamer's data as well as credential infrastructure at the bottom, where on top, with more and more games and game developers building on top, we'll be able to enable more gamers to own their own data, own their own profiles, and use that reputation and credentials to traverse the gaming universe. At the same time, with the credential at the very bottom, we also want to help game developers like yourself have a more data-driven view into how to define a customer acquisition cost, how to think about LTV, how to better understand your own customers and users, and really use the Carv platform, questing platforms, events platforms to engage your audience in a more effective way. And so with that said, there are three pillars, like I mentioned, that we'd love to go over with you. And so the first being Credential as a service. And so we know that in a lot of gaming projects where there are Web3 elements, the onboarding process is tedious. And at the same time, a lot of gamers' credential, gamers' reputation, they are siloed across different projects as well as different platforms. And so there is a big opportunity untapped here. And so what Carv is essentially building is having a platform where your gamers, your community members are able to connect all of their gaming activities and moments into one place. And so what that means is you are able to connect your social, connect your gaming accounts, PlayStation, Epic, Steam account, as well as your on-chain wallets. And putting that all together at one place in a very privacy-enabling way, you are able to have all of your gaming moments in one place and carry that with you in a backpack. And so what that enables is a lot of access to premiums or previously gated communities or gated opportunities where only these credentials would be able to unlock. And what that also means is using Carv solution. A lot of game developers, whether it's via SSOs or SDKs, you're able to offload that onboarding process onto Carv and just focus on what you do best, which is building the games. And so that is the first part of the credential, which is an aggregator. So that's the first part. You can really ask your community to create that profile and have a better understanding of your own community. And so once that is done, another Credential as a service component of Carv is the Quest platform. We know that onboarding process, like I mentioned, is a little bit more tedious, and it takes a little bit more time for folks to be able to really understand, onboard, and build loyalty within the community. And so with Carv's questing platform, it really is a one-stop shop for with more than a couple templates for you to directly use whether it's a social quest, whether it's different types of onboarding process, be able to really build that loyalty within that community. Think of it as once you created that profile, you're able to push it forward and help your community members gradually build on top of that gamer's profile. For example, today's discussion is also one of the credentialing NFTs, also bound tokens that can be acquired on the Carve platform. Imagine someone in your community that has building, that has contributing for a significant amount of time. Those credentials act as one of those reputations where in future, whether it's tokenization, you'll be able to identify these contributors and reward them accordingly. And so that's the second element, the questing platform. And lastly, there are different platforms or programs where users are able to build up their credentials. For example, like community builders. And within the gaming specific area, there are credentials that are extremely important. For example, UGC creators, streamers, game testers, all of these we want a place to be able to attest to some of their past experiences. And so what Carve has built here is a program where different types of talents in your communities can be unveiled in the process while you're building up that credential. And so stringing all three of these together, you'll be able to see a very streamlined onboarding experience, as well as a community building experience where, again, you can offload a lot of these things to partners like Carve and really focus on building that game and really focusing on identifying the right community members that can drive those UGCs. And so that would be the first element. And all of these are readily available, whether it's just via our platform using it itself or via white label solutions. And so if that's something that could be helpful for you guys, please do reach out and we can talk more about how Carve can really enable a better game building. So that's part one, credentialing as a service. We know in Web3 there's a cycle between infrastructure building and application. And the past 2 to 3 years, we've seen a big push in infrastructure build, and we are continuing to see additional excitement within the application space. And so what Carve initially decided to do is build both the infrastructure layer, the credentialing toolings, credentialing protocols, while at the same time also build out that initial application. And so that's what Carve.io is. Carve.io is a gamers hub where currently there are 500,000 gamers already onboarded and more than 150 Web3 games that are onboarded, whether it's via using quests that I just mentioned or through listing. And so you can imagine it being a place where gamers come over, discover new games that are semantically related to some of their interest, and a place for them to be onboarded and have enough background or sufficient context before whether it's buying their first NFTs or entering into the game. And so there are a lot of features that could be utilized for this game discovery. Naming a couple, for example, there are reviews and game strategy that are created by real players, and that is gated by only after they have actually played the games and own certain types of in-game assets will they be able to create that reviews. And so that screens out a lot of unwanted bots or unwanted activities there. And so that would be one. Others include social insights, token analytics, and other things that, like I mentioned, provide that context for users to be onboarded onto that game. Other social elements, for example, leaderboards or review elements can either be utilized on the platform itself or via API integration with your game itself. And so there are a couple of fitness games that have worked with Carve where they've actually offloaded that leaderboard and social element onto the platform, onto the Carve platform. So in this case, Carve can be thought of as a customer or user retention platform. So that would be another social element that could be done. At the same time as the market is picking up again, we also have initial NFT offerings and other types of marketplace aggregators where again, it's a very gaming vertical focused, and we want this place to allow gamers to have that integrated experience using Carve.io as a first-stop shop for gaming. And lastly, I do want to mention that while we are building that application layer and that infrastructure layer, we are continuously inviting more developers, gamers to build on top of that platform so that the ecosystem can be more interoperable and composable. So that's the second element of Carve, the social part. And lastly, I wanted to also touch upon the 2B analytics and the portal for better customer management. And so now on your plate, you already have the credentialing tools. You have a platform where you're able to access different types of talent, different types of gamers. Now we also complete that with tools that help you understand your users in a privacy preserving way, but would be insightful across different campaigns, across your community. And these include tools like Discord bots and include ways where after you launch each quest platform, which I'm also showing here in the admin portal, you'll be provided with the analytics portal as well, where you'll be able to really understand in a very Web3 data enabling way to help you define that customer acquisition cost, that LTV, and continuously support better community build with the CRM. So let me take a pause here and think about all three things together combined. So with these tools there, the community building part, the credentialing part, and also the initial user acquisition and user retention part would be available at your fingertips. I did mention that we are building both the social applications on top as well as the infrastructure. And one of the things that a couple of things that we are super excited about while we're partnering with ecosystem builders is in the past, we've already seen attraction on the platform, meaning there's true value that we're providing to the gaming partners, whether it's top games or gaming guilds, chains, or different types of DID tech providers. So a couple of things that we are super bullish or excited about. One is any type of privacy preserving way to do credential verification and data sharing. We think that is extremely important to build on top of the infrastructure or protocol layer where the data ownership can truly be by the gamers themselves and developers themselves. And so that's one thing that we are continuously pushing for or inviting more related field partners or game developers to build on top. Two is the interoperability of data aggregation and data display. So imagine now that you're a big gamer that has integrated your Steam account, your Epic account with extraordinary achievements. Now you would want that to be displayed for sure on the Carve platform, but also you would like to carry that Carve credential while you're doing streaming on Twitch, while you're writing your reviews on Reddit. And so interoperability in display is something that we're continuously pushing for, and would love to have more use cases with co-built with the ecosystem partners. And lastly is because we are championing the social element and the social element of gamers. And so on Gamers Hub, on Carve, we are also building out some AI-driven generated content or just toolings that lowest barriers to create content. That's something that we are building, but at the same time excited about partnerships with other builders as well. So on our platform, we've been around for a little less than 2 years. By accessing our platform, you'll be able to have access to more than 500,000 of gamers and be a part of a community with more than 150 top Web3 games. Moving on, this year is a big year for both developers and gaming. We, alongside BNB Chain, are providing our all-in support to ensure or support the success of more game developers within the ecosystem. Previously, we ran a couple of campaigns alongside BNB Chain in support with more than 30 gaming partners, and we would love to do more of those in the coming future across the entire development cycle, whether you are just creating your game and requiring that initial testers. If you're looking for certain type of beta testers, that's what Credential would be able to provide. Whether it's a more mature game and you're looking to reactivate or look for gamers with a certain profile, there are ways to leverage some of these toolings as well. I'll just show one or two examples of how we work with other games. So it could be some of the things that we can try. So for example, another game launched on BNB Chain, we were able to do API integration where the leaderboards within the games can also be shown on the Carve platform and engage with the Carve community as well. And so a little bit of interoperability there, while at the same time being able to use the platform for onboarding, to run events, to run campaigns, so that there can be a user acquisition plus user retention. Similarly, another game that is also on BNB Chain, we're able to create a screening criteria where only certain type of users or gamers are invited for a token gated type of event, and we're able to do that as well. And so before I hand it over to the community to ask more questions, here are how we can be helpful to you. One is check out our Carve listing platform, where you can list your game, whether it's ready, whether it's launched, or whether it's during a preheat phase. Have access to more than 500,000 users, and be able to kickstart that game review or that excitement phase. Two is via this link, check out some of the other offerings that Carve has, and reach out to us to see how we can support you in building along the way. And as part of the Game Jam developers, you automatically have access to 2 campaign trials, and also would be invited to participate in the BNB Hackathon that's coming up within the gaming track, in which Carve is one of the sponsors and lead. And so, yeah, thank you all for your time. Let me see if there's any questions coming from the community, and thank you.
Thank you, Vito. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If there are any questions, please type them in the comments, and we can see if Vito can answer them. So, well, there is one kind of question. Any benefits if I bring my friends? Sounds like a fun project.
Absolutely. So there are a lot of exciting events that are happening on the Carve platform. A lot of them are onboarding, social quest, or just fun things to discover with friends. And so yeah, feel free to bring more folks over, enjoy the events on our platform. At the same time, if you are a developer, you can also check out our API documents and other types of collaboration documents where you are able to co-build with us on the infrastructure platform to explore more.
Vito, we have a question from My First Time. Why did you decide to develop Carve mobile applications?
That's a very good question. So one of the things that we are really pushing for within the gaming hub is the social element as well as the user-generated content element. And we believe as a social and entertainment is moving towards mobile, a lot more of our activities is happening within mobile. And so it's important for us to meet that trend. And that's also one of the things that has been stopping or hindering the adoption within Web3 is being more mobile friendly and being more seamless. And so those are first foray into mobile application and having an opportunity to make that process more seamless and really drive those two pillars, one being user-generated content and two being the social aspect. Another part of why we are pushing for this mobile application is Carve is a global brand that is trying to serve a global audience. And if we look at the stats, increasingly, a lot of regions in the world, gamers are on mobile, and we want to meet them where they are. So that's another part why we're pushing for mobile as well. Thank you for the question.
We have another question here. Can you tell us about ARC token?
ARC token, yes. So ARC token is the native token to Carve. It serves both. It's designed that way. It has not been launched. We spent a lot of time designing how the ARC token will be able to be turbocharge Carve's business model, and at the same time also reward the community, the early contributors, the collaborators that will be continuously building within the Carve space. And so I can share a little bit more on there will be both the two gamer element as well as the two business element to generate that demand coming from both the C as well as the B side, while at the same time turbocharge the community, like I mentioned.
Okay, thank you. We have a couple more questions here. One, love the project. Curious on if the platform includes big games like League.
That's a great question. So Carve is not limited to just Web3. Carve is a place where we will be serving both Web2 and Web3 games, and Web2 and Web3 gamers. And big games like League has a big follower. And that goes to the social element of what we're trying to build. At the same time, because folks spend a lot of time in League, the credential element, the showcasing element will be able to be carried across within Carve.
Okay, thank you. And Chloe actually wants to follow up and ask also, is there a Carve community that can be joined?
Absolutely. Let me share that information in the comments so that we can all join. Actually, Kay, are you able to post what I posted in our private chat to the comments so that more people can?
Yes. Okay. Oh, I've seen that. Okay. Yeah, no problem. There are a couple of other questions as well. Will there be another type of Dragon Treasure NFT, possibly to earn, or was that a one-time thing?
Great question. So the second season of Dragon Treasure has actually started at the beginning of the month. So do check that out. At the same time, I think I believe we designed it in a way where previous participants in our season one would carry across certain benefits there. And in the pipeline, we're designing, because we're championing the interoperability, as well as carrying that credential across the different areas. And so we are in discussion with quite a few top games as well as communities to have a matching process or a way where that credential that you have built on Carve is able to manifest itself in some way within the game or within the community, whether it's some sort in some form of access, whether it's some form of extra buff in games. So a lot more exciting things to expect.
Great, thank you, Vito. So Chloe and everybody else who wants to follow Carve, their handles, etc., and the communities have just been copied and pasted into the chat. So please check that out. We do have I think there is one more question here. Who are Carve's largest partners?
Oh, there are so many. So we break them down into different types, and so games, all the different types of games, top games, games that are just starting out. We love them all. We try to support all of them, and then other types of platforms, publishers, guilds that are having their own ecosystem. We support them in ways where mostly credential driven, and really becoming a place where you can unveil the different talents within the communities. Three is all the different types of ecosystem partners, whether it's DID providers, whether it's privacy enabling providers, CK Syncs, all the different things. And so those would be the third type of partners. And eventually, we will have our own incentive protocol where developers, where individual gamers, contributors would all be able to build towards the systems. So all of these, I would think, are extremely important partners to Carve.
Vito, thank you. And we do have one last question. It's an origin story question. Can you describe the growth of Carve since its beginning? So yeah, is there a way of describing that succinctly, I guess?
Absolutely. I like to put things into numbers. So the Carve.io platform was launched last year in May, and we've been growing at almost at 60% month on month in terms of our in terms of how many profiles we created for gamers, and in terms of games, we're growing close to 20% month on month, and right now we are having other different initiatives and programs where we are starting to serve more game testers, we're serving more game creators, and trying to create a more gaming vertically focused experience for people within the gaming ecosystem.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Vito. And I guess just finally, just to wrap up now, there was one comment here which might be a nice way to wrap up. Is there anything you want to tell the audience about Carve's future plans?
Yeah, so a lot of very exciting things are around the corner. I can share a couple. One is the generative type of gaming credentials, where gamers, after they're able to combine a lot of their accounts, their on-chain activities, credentials, generate a unique type of cryptogram that represents the way that they are, playing their own games, the type of gamers that they are, and use that to carry across to different gaming universes or to different platforms where you can really use that to enhance your social, to show off your past experiences, or just a very nice way to kick off a conversation. And so that's something in the pipeline. Also, we are going to be a lot more integrated within the gaming vertical. And so expect going back to the question that was just asked, there will be a couple of announcements where Carve would become providers for some of the large ecosystems in terms of credentials, as well as some large partners like games or guilds. And so those are exciting elements that we're pushing forward. Another part is the heavy focus moving forward in terms of the mobile aspect, where a lot more social, a lot more user-generated content will be pushed towards. And so that's another part that would be extremely exciting. And so overall, I think this would be a big year for gaming, for social, as well as for ecosystem co-build. And Carve is excited to be here co-building with ecosystem partners.
That's awesome, Vito. Thank you very much. So just want to thank everyone for tuning in. I hope from Vito's workshop, you got to learn more about gaming credentials and how they're going to help gaming developers. I hope you learned more about Carve. All the social channels are there, so please do follow Carve if you've got any other questions and to follow up and be part of their community as well. So Vito, thank you for your time. Thank you for the workshop. Thank you for staying behind and answering the questions. And thank you for everybody for joining.
Thank you. And if you haven't done so, be sure to check out carv.io. On the events page, there is a participation credential that will be given to folks who have participated in this conversation. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Kay.
All right. Have a good day, everybody. Take